Hello, everyone. I'm Nick, and welcome to the Omniverse of Nick and part two, hashtag the finale to What If Gordon Ramsay Was Negan's Cook? Now, before we get into today's episode, be sure to acknowledge the Omniverse of Nick by smashing the like button, subbing to the channel, and commenting future expectations and what if suggestions in the comment section down below, as well as supporting the Discord, Patreon, and Google Doc on the homepage to support the future of the channel. With all that said, let's get into the finale / part two of this story. So, the last we left off, the group, Rick's group, has finally come in to this story, and Negan, Dwight, and Simon are preparing their separate plans to confront and halt the group's proceedings the same way we know that they did in canon, and the fact that Negan and Simon have to deal with a now about to be much more significant case and argument with Gordon Ramsay, who has been roped into losing people and saviors from his kitchen because of this conflict. So, just before they're about to leave, Gordon Ramsay confronts Negan. And he says that he has had absolutely enough. He has been playing along with Negan and this whole thing from day one. And sure, while he might have saved him, it's not like he wanted to be. Negan just gave him a place and said that he would leave him to it. But ever since, he has lost the people that are making his kitchen and this place stay standing in a very collective way. He's tearing apart what he said that he would build and make work. And now, Gordon Ramsay doesn't want to hear a word out of Negan's mouth except that he's sorry and he's going to give him his people back. Otherwise, he's fulfilled his obligation and he's leaving because he's had it up to here with Negan's bullcrap, and frankly thinks of him as just, a waste of not only a leader, but just a guy playing dress up with a leather jacket and decorating a baseball bat to make himself look strong when he's nothing but just a knockoff version of any horror movie villain. And he would say something along those lines, And Negan is just getting angry at this point. And then at this point, Negan's losing his marbles. And he yells at Gordon saying that you work for me. I brought you here and you are alive because of me. This kitchen is up and running because of me. You are here for me. It doesn't matter what you think, say, or what you think the deal was. Facts are facts, Gordy, my little friend. You are mine. Your kitchen, mine. And whether you want to admit it or else I have to make Lucille or my men straighten you the right way, you are Negan. Whether you want to say it now or you want to make me put you on your knees before we get on this group's, A-word about their whole deal, and then he smiles again, you better listen to me. Or else by the time that we return, you might be thinking a very different attitude. Or is losing a few men not important when we could save millions more? And Gordon's just still yelling at this point, saying that he doesn't care about what they do or saving. He doesn't care if Negan thinks he's his. He is here on his terms. And he says that he's not looking for a fight, but he's real close to making one happen if that's the way Negan wants it. And says that he gives him some more men in place of the ones he's lost, or he's done. He doesn't care what Negan thinks or the rule of the saviors is. He is here for him. And at this point, none of Negan's words have hit home to Simon that Negan's about to do something. So, Simon takes initiative into his own hands and tries to punch Gordon, but this is not the first time Gordon Ramsay has been struck, or almost struck, So he catches Simon's hand before he can even land the punch. But Negan and Dwight just get towards him, and Negan points his bat at Gordon, saying that whether you like it or not, you work for me. And this kitchen of yours can all go away if I really wanted it to. But I prefer you cooking for my men. And losing men, I didn't ask to lose my men. I didn't ask for these people to kill my people. You should be thanking me that your kitchen's still around. And Gordon's about to snap back, but he just shuts his mouth, feeling like he's about to have something happen to him, even though he's not that afraid. But at this point, this argument is going nowhere. And he's just like, he's done at this point. He's not leaving, but he's not arguing anymore. And he just shuts up and says that if he gets more men to replace the ones he's lost, he'll keep this conversation at a low bar. But he's not letting Negan get off scot-free of taking away his people. Well, you know, his people meaning like his people for the kitchen, not his actual people. But Negan, of course, takes that a little bit the wrong way, but just lets it go because there are more important things to do. So, Gordon might have at least a few men, but Negan doesn't supply much because the men have kept on dying because of this quote-unquote Rick Grimes guy in this group. So, the only main two that are left in the kitchen are Morales and Laura. And Gordon has snapped at them from time to time to get this kitchen in ship shape because the two of them, plus a few little unnamed knickknacks, are not enough to keep this kitchen going. And he's said it a million times. He can't do this himself. So either they step up their game or Negan's going to be very, very cross. And Morales is told at one point that he's going to have to go to a satellite outpost sooner or later. And Laura is trying to calm Gordon down since she knew Negan the longest and says that if he really wants this kitchen to succeed, he'll stop freaking out so much, especially to their superior. And Gordon says that he doesn't care about Negan or if he's freaking Santa Claus or Jesus. This is his kitchen, his price to pay, and his idea. So they're going to do what he says on his terms. And if they don't want to work harder, this kitchen's going to fall. And then where's the morale of the Saviors going to go? And for now, everything's just a mix mash of emotions thrown at the sanctuary. But things start to change up whenever Negan and Dwight and Simon and all the Saviors return. But they're down men again, even though they still have, bunches and bunches and bunches more. But Negan and Dwight and Simon and the Saviors don't return alone. They have a guy who Gordon does not recognize, and supposedly, this guy's name is Daryl Dixon. And he is in a prison uniform, and he was caged up for a while, but once he's brought in to talk with Dwight and Negan, and Dwight brings him in, Gordon is instructed to bring him a plate of food. So he does. But then he is instantly thrown out, so he doesn't get to figure out what's going on, which annoys him. And then it happens again whenever Carl attacks and kills a few of Negan's men. And Gordon, again, is instructed to bring him food, which is annoying Gordon at this point because he doesn't even get to figure out who the kid is. But apparently it's a kid of the leader or something. This Rick guy, he doesn't even get to know the story, nor does he kind of care. But at this point, it's impacting his kitchen and his rule at this place so much. Gordon can't help but feel very angry and cross that he's not getting in to more of this information. If they're going to bring him to the sanctuary, have him do all this stuff, cook and everything, the least that they could do is tell him what's going on here. And then it happens again. And this time, when a man by the name of Eugene Porter, who supposedly made a bullet to give to a girl who almost shot Negan but got his bat instead, At this point, Gordon can't help but start asking questions about all of what's going on, but nobody answers him. They all just push him aside and tell him to get back to the kitchen. But soon enough, when a girl by the name of Sasha attacks and kills some of the sanctuary people and is brought into a cell by Negan, at this point, whenever they're all outside and Sasha's about to enact her plan to put herself in the, you know, the casket, Gordon just straight up yells at everybody, saying that he wants answers and he wants them now. But at this point, yeah, Negan is just laughing at this point that Gordon has stuck up to him so much that he's willing to yell in front of his face and call him out like this. And Negan has held in his patience since the day they met. But at this point, he's not only made a fool of him, called him out on being a leader, a cook, and literally found any opportunity to question his leadership, not just about being in the kitchen like their agreement was, but he's disobeying Negan and not making it easy for him to turn into, Negan. That whole thing. So Negan just smiles and is like, he was fun while he lasted, and raises Lucille to kill Gordon. Gordon at this point's putting his hands up, kind of sarcastically and yet kind of afraid for his life. But Eugene steps in the way, saying that would not be logical, Negan. And he would tell Negan that supposedly if keeping a cook around, and a very good one, is a way to keep the operative of the Saviors still running, then the ones alive need that kind of boost. Otherwise, as Negan said himself, the morale will go down. And if the morale goes down, more people will die. So if anything, they should keep Gordon alive to keep everybody else alive. Even though, obviously the more food they have, the better. But not only that, but to keep everyone's attitudes in check, because Gordon makes really freaking good food. But Negan's not all that convinced and is kind of annoyed that Eugene stepped in his way. But Eugene confirms that he is Negan and he's only trying to do and help Negan out. And he doesn't want to disobey him or anything, not after Negan saved his life after making the bullet. He originally thought that he was going to get tortured, but all he wants is to do right by the Saviors, and even if that's slightly stepping in Negan's way, then he'll do that if he must. But he's saying that if Negan allows it, he personally will be in charge of Gordon's attitude and will keep him in line. And Negan actually puts him... He would actually like to take Eugene up on this and see if Gordon actually listens to Eugene. So they go off and they go to Alexandria with Sasha in the casket, and Gordon Ramsay and Eugene and everybody else are left at the sanctuary to do whatever they'll be doing. And before Eugene leaves with Negan, he looks at Gordon, saying that now you're my responsibility. Best not to talk back to our superior, especially now that I've confirmed that I'm one with the superior. Gordon just laughs at this and says that he doesn't care, and he shouldn't stick his nose into business that's not his. If Negan was going to kill him, he probably would have just either blocked the bat or just let himself die. And he says that he doesn't care how smart Eugene thinks he is, what role he's in, or anything else like that. And he points in Eugene's face as saying that next time you get in my business, don't think I won't cross into yours. So you could just leave me, my kitchen, and all your shite, because I can't say the actual word, out of your way and out of my business, or I'm going to make your business and mine very personal. And Eugene is not affected at all by this because it's not the first time he's been threatened. And Gordon is his responsibility. And he tells him this, that whether he likes it or not, their fates are intertwined. Either he keeps him in line or they both meet Lucille. And he wants Gordon to trust him when he says that if he saw what happened to him and his people, he wouldn't be talking like this. And with that, he leaves Gordon to stew on these thoughts until Negan and the Saviors return. A lot worse for wear and angry. And Negan goes out with everybody else and shouts to the Saviors that they're going to war. We then get to the episode where Negan is infuriated by Simon's plan about people and having them to be a resource and people are the foundation, and not agreeing with Simon's plan to kill everybody. And while this is going on and Gregory is in there, Gregory being the one who's trying to, side with the Saviors and all that stuff, Gordon is outside the room, not allowed to be in, and is overhearing this entire conversation play out. Soon enough, he hears gunshots and the Saviors running past him, and everybody guns firing, and he hears the argument from outside and everything like that. And at this point, Negan gets stuck with Gabriel, where they eventually talk and enact their plan of the Walker Guts and getting out and back to their people, which would eventually get Gabriel sick. And the Saviors, meanwhile, are in the meeting room talking about what should happen now and the possibility that Negan's not going to return. But Gordon then steps in. His time and patience utterly ruined. He is tired of being put on the back foot of everything, and that he's signing himself up to be a part of this whole leader shtick right now. He is no longer a cook, and if Negan doesn't come back, he is going to be the one to be in charge, because he's tired of everyone treating him like he's a waste of space. And he's going to prove that if Negan doesn't return. And he would go on to make this speech about how he's been treated like an object more than an actually really good, not only cook, but person since he got here. And he now knows Negan's true intentions was to make him a slave, and that their deal was never going to last. But now that Negan might not return, that deal is no longer in place. So he feels like it's his opportune moment to show that these people were wrong for treating him like an object. And all that he wanted at first was to be left alone to die after he thought that, it was all over after his family died. But that's not important. They listen to him if Negan doesn't come back, which the Saviors start fighting until everyone's out in the halls and that whole thing goes down. But then Negan and Gabriel return. And that deal about all of what Gordon was talking about, that's not going to happen. So Negan affirms his status as the leader and that he is here to stay. And Gabriel is with Eugene making the bullets when it's revealed that Gabriel is sick from putting the Walker Guts on him and is going blind. And while this is going on, Dwight and Negan are going about something while Gordon is in the room with them. And Gordon is just pointing at all of the Saviors, including Simon, saying that he's now might not be a leader with Negan back, and even admits half the crap that he said because he's not afraid of Negan anymore. But that doesn't mean that he is getting to be treated like an object or a not so important person anymore. And if Negan says or tries to kill him again, their deal is completely off now that he knows that it was bogus. And Simon at this point is starting to see cracks in the plan of bringing this guy to be a cook for the Saviors. But Dwight, thinking to himself, has a plan. And soon enough, he gets to enact it. You see, whenever Dwight realizes what Eugene's about to do, diverting the horde away with the remote and everything, and that whole thing went down and Eugene still did it even though Dwight had his gun to him and everything like that, Gordon is there because Dwight would have seen that Gordon was the best possible option to help him inside the whole sanctum of the sanctuary to bring down Negan and the Saviors from inside. And he knew about Daryl and Tara's plan. So he knew that Gordon would agree with it. And he did, because Gordon's tired of this place and Negan at this point. So just before Eugene can get his hand to use the remote to diverge the horde away, Gordon has a plate of spaghetti sauce in his hand. And this is hot spaghetti sauce, mind you. So he grabs the spaghetti sauce from behind Eugene where he can't see him while Dwight is on one side, and he throws the plate of spaghetti sauce straight into Eugene's face. He basically slams it into Eugene's face. And this is hot spaghetti sauce, so this would burn Eugene's face. And after that, Gordon and Dwight know that whatever Daryl and Tara's next move is, they're going to not want to stick around if walkers and explosions start, destroying the entire sanctuary. They need to get out of here now. And they start booking it out of the sanctuary down the halls. But Negan is there, and he should have known that this was their plan. Dwight was one thing, but Gordon, he knew that. So, while they're running, he steps in front of them, surprising them both, and prepares to loose seal Gordon and then Dwight for their betrayal, and that they just pretty much doomed him and the Saviors to die. But Gordon stops him by throwing a plate of spaghetti straight at Negan's face, and this would less burn him because there'd be less sauce on it, but yeah, it would literally be like punched in his face while they're running. So Negan doesn't even get the chance to hit anyone with the bat. They're literally running past him while the plate of spaghetti is being pushed into his face after they run past him. So yeah, it's sort of like an all in the moment sort of thing. Negan is blinded enough to be stunned for the moment by the spaghetti all over his face and the fact that it allows Gordon and Dwight to get away the second that Daryl and Tara successfully enact their plan and sabotage the sanctuary and everything else from within, causing walkers and explosions to kill every single person at the sanctuary. And this time, the plan actually works, ending the tale. And I'll explain more here in a second why that is. After that, Gordon Ramsay, along with Dwight, would escape the sanctuary as every single savior dies within it. Simon, he would actually get to kill Negan before all of them would fall to their demise, getting what he wanted in the end, thanks to Gordon Ramsay. So even though he couldn't stand Gordon ultimately meant that Simon would carry out his wish, but he wouldn't get to rule the saviors, nor would there be any savior left for the remainder of the story. What about the rest of the story, you might ask? Well, Rick and Jadis and their group would come along. Rick horrified to see all the saviors dead and just a cook and Dwight left. No Eugene, no Negan, no Simon. But they would be able to rescue Gabriel and Dr. Carson, but it would be tough. It would be very tough. The good thing about it is that since Gabriel and Dr. Carson were at a different part of the sanctuary, they would actually be spared from a good part of the chaos. Because honestly, in any other situation, especially one this close, Gabriel would actually die in this story. And I wanted to do a different ending for this. Gordon appearing at the end alongside Rick and then just portraying him alongside Eugene. But once I got to this part, I realized that Gordon, at this point, he would be done with Negan. He would have tolerated him so much by this point that he would have just been done. So Dwight and him teaming up to do this actually makes sense. And after that, the rest of the story, without Negan, Gordon would join the group, finding a new purpose, seeing that he should have been with people this entire time, and that trusting the wrong side is what, ironically, got him to save the good side? ? He really never bothered to care about any of this, especially after what happened so long ago, it seems. But now that everything like this has happened, he sees himself a new purpose. But this has all not come without a cost. There's no Eugene, so that's a huge loss, and the group is heartbroken at this. But they know that Eugene made his choice, and whether he wanted to or not, he betrayed them. So, in this timeline, he doesn't get to redeem himself for that. So, that's honestly really sad. And it would be like my what if Negan won the war thing, except, Eugene, a lot of different stuff, more or less. The second thing is, Jadis would not tell anyone about or go to the CRM or do any of that stuff, because her people would still be alive. Now, there is the possibility that Simon could have always survived, maybe joined the group and survived getting out of there, but with all of this happening and just all the conflict and everything, I'm pretty sure it's better left that he's just left dead. And honestly, killing Negan and doing all that stuff, that's the best that, ironically, I think you could get out of the situation. And I honestly think that Gordon Ramsay, and as you can see in the picture, which by the way is not mine, you can also see that I chose a picture of him swapped out for Negan's face with Lucille. Because I feel at this point, Gordon would have saw how much Lucille meant to Negan, so after throwing the plate of spaghetti, ironic, I think he would honestly steal Lucille as kind of a souvenir. And with spaghetti in his face, there's not too much you could do in that situation, so Gordon and Dwight would honestly get out of there before Negan could try and get his bat back. So he would die with the rest of his men in the sanctuary, even if there were kids and everything. I mean, it is sad, but ironically, this would have happened had, Eugene not been able to diverge the horde away. Every one of the saviors would have pretty much died, bar it maybe an extra few, or like maybe a little less few or something like that. Also, with no Negan and no Eugene, and also Dwight possibly leaving still because of Daryl and everything like that, I still feel that Daryl and Tara would never forgive Dwight, and they would honestly think about killing him. But with Dwight begging for forgiveness, I feel that he would still be sent to fear regardless, because Tara would also see the mercy, and this would be the first real sense she gets. And honestly, I think that's much better than Dwight dying here, especially since he kind of did more with help from Gordon. And after that, Gordon would become a cook, ironically, for the entirety of all the communities, and would actually pitch in a little bit of fighting. And Lucille would be his souvenir, because he would want to remember that he single-handedly saved this group from Negan. So really, when you really think about it, Rick and the group are actually endeared to him. And I know what you're thinking. What about Carl? Well, unfortunately, he still dies. He would still get bit. There's no way I can reverse that. So, yes, he would still die, and he would be insanely angry. The fact that Negan died, but it wasn't his dad. And it wasn't truly Daryl or Tara. It was really just a cluster of everything at once. So, even in his dying breaths, he would still tell his father to remember him, and for Gordon to keep the memory of Negan alive, at least the part of him that he thought he knew that wasn't evil. Because Carl still wants something to be remembered in his time of passing, and that the world is more than just everyone turning against each other. Although it wouldn't hit as deep here since Negan is dead. So, Carl's death would actually be demeaned here, which I really don't like. Carl's character was very complex as a whole because of Laurie, Shane, and just him being stupid. But his death would still mean a great amount here. It just wouldn't mean as much because of Negan's death. So I really don't see too much about him. Like, he would not send any of the letters except for the people he sent them to before, and it would be totally different. Or he would send the same letters and they would be useless because, Negan's dead. So it'd kind of be a waste of time in his last moments if you really, really think about it. The kingdom would be spared of total destruction and would actually thrive past its original outing. So that would be a really good thing. And with no Negan or Eugene, this means quite a bit. Gordon would honestly take the standing point of Negan and actually do way better, if I'm being real. And even though there's no Eugene, the Whisperers would still be found out. Rick, I think, would still shoot the bridge because without the Saviors, the bridge would actually be much harder to build. So this means that Rick would still shoot the bridge and he would still go off to the CRM. So it literally, from this moment on, almost the entire rest of the story is the complete same. Bar it, the kingdom's still around. There's no Negan. Jadis's group would be around. Her people probably dying later, and then herself getting killed by like Michonne, Daryl, or maybe Gordon or something like that, trying to trade someone to the CRM. And if Rick did shoot the bridge and something like that, I can maybe see Jadis trading him for that. And maybe her people getting killed at some later point for like the help of the Saviors or something like that. Or maybe like Maggie and everybody else not really like trusting Jadis's people, so they kill everyone like but her, and then she begs for her life or something. I think that it's honestly best that Jadis still goes and takes Rick to the CRM to really be real here, to finish off this story. And then for the Whisperers, that would honestly go the exact same. Bar it, Gordon honestly takes the place of Negan and would be much better at killing Alpha, considering Lucille and like, you know, his expertise, and his snarky tone would actually like resonate with Beta, and he was much more sassy and angry than the likes of Negan. So I could think of him being like a comic Negan counterpart to whenever he was in there with Beta and the Whisperers. So it would honestly fit those situations really good. And then we would still obviously know Negan's backstory, so there's no need in dishing out that. And yeah, like I said, the rest of this story would honestly go the exact same way. There's not too much I can say. All I can say is that Dead City would not happen. And the two other spinoffs obviously would happen. The Daryl Dixon one to go find Rick, the Ones Who Live to go find Rick, and yeah, that's kind of it. As for the Croat and Dama, you might ask, I think a spinoff would still happen, but I think that it would revolve Maggie with another character. Like, I don't know, maybe Rosita actually gets to live in this story, and she goes with Maggie, even though her actor, wanted to be killed and did not want to be part of the spinoffs. Or maybe it's someone like Aaron, or someone like that. I still feel like the Dama and Croat storyline would take place. I think Gordon would honestly be fit for it, since he was around for the Croat. So I think that it would actually make for a much better Dead City opening for Gordon going with Maggie, even though, Dead City Season 2 is coming out within a month from this moment of this recording. Anyways, with all that said, I don't really think there's too much else to talk about. I tried to put this all into two parts, trying to put as much funny stuff as I could into one, and I had several ways that I tried to go about this. Number one, Gordon Ramsay poisons the food and then just takes over or something like that. Or gets himself killed, and then Simon takes over, and then it's like, what if Simon killed Negan? Or Negan kills Gordon Ramsay at some point because of his mouth, which definitely came close a lot of times. It took everything of me to try to find a logical situation where he didn't kill him. So that was a thing. I honestly thought of making this an analyze video, like I've done with others. And there's plenty more of those where others have come from. But I wanted to actually do something here, since the prospect of Gordon Ramsay and Negan's personalities and characters, just like The Rock and Jeffrey Dean's, if you ever saw the movie Rampage, and they were in that movie and starred together, I think the only movie they did. And their personalities clash so well together. It honestly sounded like The Rock could have easily killed Negan if he'd given the chance in The Walking Dead, if The Rock ever went in it, which we know obviously most likely is never going to happen. But hey, never count your stones before they are thrown. Whatever you say. Anyways, yeah, honestly, those were two outings that I had thought about. And then I thought about Gordon betraying Negan with Eugene at the very, very end. But like I said, once I got to this point, I'm like, oh yeah, this would actually make sense. Because by now, Gordon would have grown so tired of Negan, and Negan would have grown so tired of Gordon. So, it honestly made for the perfect opportunity. Because given any longer, they would have killed each other, or worse. So, to make it a really cool, funny, and wrapped up kind of ending, and put it into an explanation here, this is honestly the route that I chose to go. But I hope you guys truly enjoyed this sort of funny take at this. I never expected to include Gordon Ramsay in a What If before. I'd only barely known about the guy before I looked up into this prospect. And then I started getting into Hell's Kitchen and his character. I'm just like, I'm so glad that I did this. So, hope you guys enjoyed this 2-part special. It's definitely something. It's not like one of those stories that I could call one of the best, but it's definitely one of those stories that's probably one of the funniest. I bet you guys can definitely agree with that. But I hope you guys enjoyed. The next story is the Cybermen one. Now that's already pre-made 2 years ago, just like several other Dragon Ball projects were. My Nom one, my Garen one, my Tarbal one, every Dragon Ball story has been pre-made so far. The Cybermen one and What If Frieza Turned Good are the only two left from 2 years ago that I've yet to put on this channel. So, the Cybermen one is next. Now, I'm not going to include Dragon Ball Daima, and I'm going to explain more on that in the finale, which I'm going to be literally pre-recording after this. And you'll understand more whenever I do it for you Dragon Ball fans. And after that, Stu and Boromir, and then I'm going to be taking a break from the time of pre-recording this. So, hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for the Cybermen Turn Good video. And remember to acknowledge the Omniverse of Nick channel by smashing the like button, subbing to the channel, commenting all future requests and expectations for the year 2025, and checking out the Patreon, Discord, and all other platforms in the description to help out the future of this channel, and so much more to come. And I'll see you guys later.